My name is Jackie Dzelski, and welcome to the Manatee Chamber of Commerce Headliners Luncheon. As you probably realized as you were walking in and from the email confirmation, we are sold out with a waiting list today. So thank you all so much for your support. There has been no summer slowdown because we were sold out with a waiting list last month as well. So hats off to the Chamber team for providing such valuable programming for you with the support of our committees and boards. The first order of business, although I know many of you are already enjoying your lunch, I would ask that you please pause for just a moment to stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you so much. As you're getting seated in Zynga, if you want to come grab, I stole your remote, so I probably scared the heck out of you. There you go. Our next order of business, I would like to recognize the elected officials who were slated to join us today, and I know several are still making their way to their seats, but we will start with the Manatee County School Board. We have Chairman Chad Choate and school board members Gina Messenger and Rich Tatum. Thank you so much for joining us today. From the Manatee County Commission, we have Jason Bearden, George Cruz, James Satcher, and Ray Turner. Thank you for joining us today. From the City of Bradenton, we're expecting Mayor Jean Brown, Councilwoman Marianne Barnaby, Councilman Josh Kramer, Councilwoman Lisa Gonzalez-Moore, and Councilwoman Pam Coachman. Thank you all so much from the city. We also are expecting from the City of Palmetto, Mayor Shirley Bryant, and also joining us from Congressman Vern Buchanan's office, a familiar name, new District Director Tara Polton. Thank you so much. I also want to take a moment to recognize your Manatee Chamber Chairman of the Board, Jeff Podobnik. He is here at the front table along with his wife, Amy, and today is Jeff's birthday. I just heard an expletive. So we are going to do it. Are you ready? Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Jeff. Happy birthday to you. Thank you all. And then if I could please give special recognition to a new member of our team. To my right, most of yours left, Nzinga Barnett, our new public policy and administrative coordinator. Many of you have been emailing and calling Nzinga over the past several weeks for this event and many chamber committee meetings. Nzinga, welcome to the team. You're a rock star, and we're thrilled that you're here. And then finally, I'd like to recognize some of the sponsors that make this type of programming possible for our chamber. First, our headliner sponsors, organizations that step forward to give annual support to programming that you enjoy every month through our headliner series. Those organizations are Florida Power and Light, Manatee Memorial Hospital, the Mosaic Company, and the Realtors Association of Sarasota Manatee. Thank you all so much for that support. And then next, our Platinum investors, members who give significant financial support to the Chamber well beyond their annual dues, and you'll see their names up on the banner as well as on screen. And they are Brown & Sons Funeral Home and Crematory, Carr, Riggs & Ingram, the City of Bradenton, IMG Academy, Manatee County Government, Manatee Memorial Hospital, MCR Health and All Care Options, the Mosaic Company, NDC Commercial Real Estate, NDC Construction Company, the Pittsburgh Pirates and Bradenton Marauders, Raymond James Wealth Management, Bruce Body, the Sarasota Bradenton International Airport, our newest platinum investor, Seaport Manatee, and South State Bank. Thank you all so much for your support. In terms of managing an organization or an enterprise, few of us in the room are likely tasked with leading a workforce of more than 6,800 people employed and spread over more than 60 facilities. Most of us don't have 55,000 customers, or if we do, those 55,000 plus customers don't visit one of those 60 plus facilities on a daily basis. We're not managing $1.3 billion budgets, but I'd say hashtag goals for all of us. So you might not be surprised that these are statistics related to today's topic. Every day, the school district of Manatee County serves approximately 45,000 meals and drives more than 12,000 miles a day. And at the heart of all of this are the children and youth of Manatee County and a focus that we all share, a priority on their future success. We are thrilled as the Manatee Chamber, representing our business community, to welcome Dr. Jason Wysong on just the 5th day of school under his tenure. The Manatee Chamber's partnership with the school district spans many decades before any of the tenure of those of us on staff or on the board at the Chamber, and it's critically important to our business community's mission through the Chamber that this partnership continue to flourish and grow. In just a few months, we'll be presenting the Big Bank Theory program at every Manatee County public high school. Many of you in the room are volunteers. We'll need more than 300 business volunteers, and you could, and I would say you should, be volunteering. So there'll be lots of information sent out. This program is a direct result of the business community through the Chamber partnering with the school district to meet an unmet need, which was improving the financial literacy of students. And in partnership with the district, we knew we wanted to target high school, as many of those students are just months away from being out on their own. So we'll be seeing every high school senior in the Manatee County School District thanks to Chamber member support. In the spring, we've already set the date for our annual Project Teach program, which we've been presenting in every 4th grade in Manatee County for more than 30 years, and that is to help develop the career awareness of students within our public school system. And most importantly, our Chamber and the district help every school nurture and grow and recognize the businesses and organizations that partner through official business education partnerships. And I know that Dr. Wysong will be touching on that during his comments today as well. So we're going to give you just a few minutes to enjoy your lunch and enjoy a little bit of networking time. When we come back from that break for lunch, you'll be greeted by Stu Henderson, a member of the Chamber's Executive Committee, and he will officially introduce Dr. Wysong. So please enjoy your lunch for a few moments, a little bit of networking, and we'll be back at the podium in just a few minutes.
My name is Stu Henderson. I'm an owner and director of design at Foley Bryant Architecture. It's wonderful to see everyone today. So I'm going to do the intro for Dr. Wysong, so I appreciate you having me. Dr. Wysong was sworn in as superintendent of the school district Manatee County on Monday, July 3rd, 2023, during a special meeting of the school board. That makes today his 44th day on the job here in Manatee County, if my math is correct. Prior to coming to our great community, Dr. Wysong served as deputy superintendent for Seminole County Public Schools from 2021 to 2023. And was responsible for leading K-12 instruction and organizing strategic action across district departments and schools. An A-rated district located northeast of Orlando, Seminole schools were home to more than 63,000 students. Prior to becoming deputy secretary, Dr. Wysong served Seminole County in several different roles over more than 15 years. Early in his career, Dr. Wysong was a social studies teacher and debate coach, followed by dean of students and assistant principal at Lake Brantley High School. He earned his doctorate and a special degree in educational leadership from University of Central Florida, as well as a master's in social studies education and a Bachelor of Arts with the honors in political science and history from the University of Florida. Go Knights and go Gators. So after Dr. Wysong, we're going to have a Q&A. I think there's a roaming microphone here. And please help me in sharing a warm Manatee Chamber welcome as we bring up Manatee County Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Jason Wysong.
Well, good afternoon. It's such an honor to be among all of you. I am just thrilled to be in Manatee County. This is an awesome community, and in all of the research and preparation to come over, every good thing I read really has been validated in my first 6 weeks here. Manatee and Seminole are a little different geographically, but community values are very similar in both places. And this is such an awesome place to raise a family, and also an awesome place to come and lead public education. This is a community that supports public education. It's great to come in as the leader with that advantage. This is also a community that doesn't just believe in public education, it resources public education. And I cannot tell you the tremendous number of advantages that the school district of Manatee County has because of the support of voters, because of the support of the business community, because of the support of the chamber. So, first I just want to thank all of you for seeing the value in public education at a time that frankly is challenging in a lot of places. I'm very grateful to Jackie. She was my tour host when my wife and I came over for the interview. So we visited, I think, 4 schools together, and Jackie answered lots of questions about the business community and economic development, and I left, really, really excited about all of that. So Jackie, thank you. And then Jeff, Chair of the Chamber, happy birthday. Jeff hosted an event that I'll talk about in a couple of minutes recently, and my wife and son were able to attend. And professionally, it was a great event that I'll tell you about, but personally, we just felt so welcomed by the whole Bradenton Marauders organization. So thank you, Jeff. I'm also excited that 3 of our board members are here today. Chair Choate, Mrs. Messenger, Mr. Tatum. This is a really dynamic school board. It's been great as a new superintendent coming in, that each member of the board has really an expertise area from their background that's been helpful to me as I ask questions and kind of share what I'm learning. Our chairman is doing a great job navigating a lot of issues that in many other districts become, toxic and acidic, and he's doing a great job of just moving us along. Mrs. Messenger is the senior member of our board, and it's great to have her expertise and her memory of decisions that were made in 2016 and 2017 and why prior boards took the action that they did. Mr. Tatum is our military veteran from the group, and he and I have got to talk a lot about leadership, which has been very helpful. One thing I want to do, and it's something that I've asked the principals to start doing, could we just ask our military veterans, those who have served, to stand and be recognized for a moment? Military veterans? Any others? Just one? Only one? Okay. All right. So clearly I didn't plan that as well, because I thought there would be more, but that's all right. The reason I've asked our principals to start doing that, because our role is college, career, and citizenship education. And, the college and the career piece are very concrete. but then the citizenship part can get lost sometimes, and it's important for us to make sure we're modeling good citizenship practices across our schools. And so I asked the principals, said, next time you have the community in, take a moment, in addition to making sure that you're doing the pledge and you've got a national anthem singer, ask your veterans to stand and be recognized by the community so that kids see the importance of that. So thank you for that. A little bit kind of beyond my bio, I'm a lifelong Floridian. I grew up in Miami, attended a really large high school in Dade County with lots of opportunities, went to the University of Florida with a ton of AP credit, which allowed me to double major, and midway through UF, when I realized I didn't want to go to law school, had time to pivot, get some secondary ed classes done, and then roll into a master's program in teaching. I have 2 siblings and 4 cousins that I grew up with in Miami. All of us benefited from public education. So between the prepaid program, which really continues to be a very innovative model nationally, and then the advanced academics that the legislature and the governors over time have invested in my working class family of 7 of us going through public education, really fairly close in age range, 7 bachelor's degrees and 3 doctorates in a working class family. And those stories are all over Florida, and that's really the dynamism of public education in Florida. So undergraduate at UF, teaching in Central Florida, and then doing my educational leadership work at the University of Central Florida. I was in Seminole for 16 years, again, in a really A-rated, decorated school district. What makes Seminole and other really high-performing districts around the country work is putting systems in place so that when you have succession, when you have personnel change, when you have board and leadership changes, the system that generates student learning keeps running. And there are always adjustments, but you put those systems in place so that the success continues long after the people have changed. And so from a management perspective, that's some of the things I'm going to be working on. Is we're going to benchmark the school district of Manatee County to other similarly situated high-performing districts in Florida, but we're going to look nationally at districts that maybe they don't have the Gulf Coast, maybe they don't have the cool breeze off of the water, but they have communities of similar sizes, similar values, and similar commitments to education. And we want to benchmark ourselves against those districts nationally. What are they doing? From an external perspective, I'll tell you that that Manatee County is viewed as an innovative educational system. A lot of great programs were brought in really under the leadership of Mrs. Saunders and Mr. Wagner. And so even coming from an A-rated, academically high-performing district, we looked to some of the things that Manatee was doing, programs that were being implemented at specific schools. Meanwhile, a lot of work has been done to make sure that the budget is well planned in Manatee and stable, and that we never, you remember the past, you look back as a reminder of where you don't want to be, but this is a very financially secure district today, and that's because of the work really that was done by the people who came before me, and my belief is that we owe you that fiscal stability as voters, citizens, business owners, taxpayers. We owe you that stability and to commit to you that we'll never go back to maybe some of the missteps that happened in the past. And so just know that I feel I've inherited an academically and fiscally stable district. I'm spending my time doing a lot of listening both to our educators and to community leaders, folks like all of you today. And then we're going to take that and I'm going to work with our board to identify where are our opportunities to get a little bit better and where are our opportunities to put systems in place that will drive academic excellence, student learning growth, not just for the next 5 years, but for the next 10 and 15 years, because it's that systems work that will make a difference. Now, with systems work, sometimes you don't see all the improvement right up front. It's not a short-term play. It's not low-hanging fruit. It's very deep organizational culture work that sometimes the payoff is a little bit further away. And so having spent 16 years in Seminole, people ask why I stayed there so long, and the answer is I like to see the impact of my work. And so I want to build a team that is here for the long haul, and where we can be together to celebrate the great work that is coming down the road for the school district of Manatee County. When I arrived, we had some senior leadership jobs to fill, and I'll just share that update with you, because I know that in your seats, again, you want to hear that things are stable and moving. So with Doug Wagner deciding to go back to Manatee Technical College, we had an opening for the Deputy Superintendent of Operations. I promoted Joe Rinaldi, a current Manatee County employee who is running all of our really construction and growth planning efforts. So he's moved into that Deputy Superintendent role, now overseeing all operations, including HR and IT and kind of all those traditional functions. Mrs. Saunders was personally managing the instructional side of the house for the past year, so that whoever was selected as superintendent could bring in a new deputy superintendent for instruction or chief academic officer. We did a search, and the Manatee County Search Committee chose a gentleman by the name of Derek Jensen, who I worked with in Seminole. He led all of our K-12 instruction and curriculum efforts, including taking Seminole through the standards transition. So he's here now working in Manatee, started last week. And then we had a vacancy in the general counsel position, and we found our best candidate here locally. And so Pamela D'Agostino, who's an assistant county attorney at Manatee County Government, is coming over to the school district starting on Monday to be our general counsel. And Pamela's here. Where are you? There you are, Pamela. Thanks for being here. So the leadership team is back in place. We're moving forward. It is the 5th day of school. As you heard, we opened between 98 and 99% staffed in terms of classroom teacher vacancies. Thank you. That's a testament to our executive director for HR, Rick Bailey, who came here a year ago from Martin County, former principal, really understands the work in the trenches. And instead of just have one job fair, I think we've had dozens. Just open calls where people are coming in and saying, yeah, I'd like to teach, or I'm interested in, whatever we have open, and then getting those people onboarded quickly and working in our schools. So we're excited and onboarding more teachers every day. Our biggest challenge, and I think this is true for all districts right now, is transportation. And so at day 5, routes are in place, kids are being picked up and taken home, and we're working on those margin cases. A parent who's calling and saying, this bus came late, this bus came early, this stop is not in the best place, and we're trying to make those adjustments. And there's a tremendous team working a lot of hours, 7 days a week right now to work all those issues out. I'll also tell you, yesterday we had a unannounced visit from the DOE Office of Safe Schools. They went to 12 of our schools, and by unannounced, there's no phone call to superintendents or anybody else. They show up and you find out when your first principal texts and says, I have a visitor. So that's how you know. So Office of Safe Schools visited 12 of our campuses, 9 district managed and 3 charters, 100% compliance with the safety regulations they were looking for. That's a testament to our Sheriff's Department, great training of not only their SROs, but our guardians that are in our schools. We have an awesome leadership team working on safety and security, and then principals who are taking these safety directives very, very, very seriously. So how many parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles of our students are in the room? Yeah, so I just want you all to know safety is always our top priority, and yesterday was a good verification that we're on the right track. So in terms of, people are interested again in vision and goals, and I'm not somebody that comes in and says we're going to make 15 changes so that I can come to this event and tell you I made 15 changes. We want stability, we want to study carefully, and then we want to act very strategically. But in terms of broad goals, we want to try to accelerate some of the learning growth that, again, the prior superintendent and her team began to catalyze, particularly the reading and mathematics performance of our lowest performing students. That is the grittiest work in public education, to take your students who are scoring the lowest and then say, even though it's going to take 3 or 4 years to get those students to proficiency, and we're not going to get credit for that in the data for those 3 or 4 years, we're going to commit to a long-term strategy to get those students to proficiency. So we're going to continue to focus on that and really try to accelerate some of that work. Secondly, again, the community support for public education here is already very, very strong, and I think we just have to keep working together to identify more opportunities to help students and families. I'll give you 4 quick examples. July 5th, right after the holiday, we had 2,700 families show up to a SOAR in 4 early literacy event. And the focus of that organization is, parents, you are your children's first reading teacher. And we want to give you the resources to help make that happen. And there are dozens of 501c3s and businesses supporting that work. But to think that we had 2,700 families show up the day after a federal holiday to get free books for their kids, that's very, very powerful. And the fact that all those groups were working together is really significant. I've also made it out to one of the Day for Hope events where our faith-based communities are sponsoring Title I schools and creating special experiences for our neediest families, so that students have a backpack and all the supplies and a haircut and a family photo, and they feel good about going to school on the first day. That is a game changer, and what an incredible organization. Carl Reynolds Law and ABC7 partnered to do a supply drive. I know there are lots of those. That's one I got to participate in. Again, just a sign of that grassroots support for back to school. And then finally, the Marauders gave out 500 beautiful backpacks to families that attended their back to school game, and just a really wonderful family event, and another example of a business in this community supporting public education with their dollars. So thanks to all of you and all of your businesses that have contributed to get this school year right. Going back to safety, safety is absolutely our #1 priority. That's what I'm communicating to every single employee group I'm meeting with. That starts simply with our more than 6,000 employees wearing their name badges every day, so that everybody knows who's an employee and who is standing out as not belonging in an area that they shouldn't be in. And so we're pushing on this. We're reminding people about, when you walk out of a door, you push it closed and you make sure that it's locked. And I'll do that to every classroom I visit, just to model that practice of vigilance every single day about safety and security. I'm a dad too. I have a 10-year-old son, and in Seminole, I always told people I won't hesitate to make a different choice for him if for a second I think he's not safe at school. So just know that you have that commitment for me as superintendent, you have that commitment for me as a dad too. So safety, very important. Finally, in terms of how we get that academic improvement, because there has been some attention and I think some interest both from the board and from community leaders about reading scores. So the goal obviously is to be an A school district, to be named academically high performing. The key there is growth in those reading scores, and what that means is the expectation is that students are doing literacy every single day. That means reading, writing, and it also means speaking and listening. And we lose the speaking and listening a lot because it's not on the state test, right? The written test is critical reading passages with multiple choice questions. And so the speaking and listening can get left out, but when you do it deliberately, it reinforces good thought process about writing, and it improves critical reading. And so we're talking with all of our principals and our instructional leaders about making sure that we're addressing all of the components of literacy, not just reading, but writing has to happen every single day. And so if you're, and again, it'll take me a little time to get in and really look at instruction, and we'll make adjustments. But hopefully, again, as a parent or a grandparent or an aunt and uncle, you're going to hear kids talking about writing every single day in class. That's vital to, again, long-term improvement. We also have to work on our science scores in the school district of Manatee County. Part of the science test is reading, so when reading scores rise, science scores rise too because of the level of the complexity of the text on the science test. But we have got to engage students in science earlier. We test it in grade 5, but if you only prioritize it in grade 5, you've only done 18% of the work, right? We've got to start in kindergarten, and we've got to have the fun and exciting STEM stuff, but we've got to be sure we're really hitting those science standards and then reinforcing reading. So my message to classroom teachers has been, it doesn't matter what your subject area is or what age you teach, all of us are teachers of reading. And we have to have that mindset if we're going to see, really, really long-term growth. Couple of other things that I just want to mention. Teacher retention and recruitment is vital. And most people talk about recruitment and retention, and you'll always hear me talk about retention and recruitment, because if we do a good job keeping our teachers, we don't need to find as many new folks. We had over 300 teachers who came before their contract started, 300 new teachers coming back early to participate in our new teacher orientation. And what was interesting is about half of them were brand new teachers, so August 10 was their first day in front of students. Maybe they have an education degree and they've done an internship, but day one is on their own. And about half are veteran teachers relocating from other places. So that means we're either getting them from Sarasota or Hillsborough or Pinellas, and we'll keep doing that, or they're part of this incredible movement into Manatee County. And so, the growth that we're all experiencing and sometimes challenged by, sometimes inspired by, that people want to live here, that includes lots of people with teaching backgrounds, and we just need to get them into our schools. But as a community, it's going to be really important, not just that we're resourcing through salary and benefits, but that we're sending a clear message that Manatee is different, and that we want our teachers to live in our community, raise their families in our community, and thrive in our community. And if we do that, if every new teacher gets the welcome that I've gotten, we won't have a teacher retention problem here, because why would you ever leave? That same message needs to apply to our principals. The principalship has become the most difficult job in public education. It's harder than the superintendency. It's harder than serving on the school board, because every single day you have that safety responsibility, you have that instruction responsibility, and you're working with parents, and you're dealing with all of the new mandates, and you're also trying to retain your teachers. You're trying to filter out noise so that they can focus just on instruction and kids. It's become a very hard job, and I will tell you that 44 days in, the number one risk to this district's long-term success is the health of our principal corps. If we lose principals, we will continue to spin. And so the question becomes, how do we support principals? Well, first of all, from the business community perspective, when they say, hey, I need this, if we find a way to provide it, that makes their work a little bit easier. But we also have to make sure that as a parent community, we're supporting principals, right? Very few people send an email to a principal and say, my kid has had a great day every day for the last 3 weeks. Thank you for your leadership, right? We don't do that. But we need to start doing that, because if we don't, we're going to continue to churn our principals. And gone are the days where somebody, becomes a principal and then stays for many, many years. People like Mr. Choate's grandfather. Because the principalship has such a spotlight on it now, that the grind, the wear on these folks is much greater than it used to be. And so as a superintendent, I worry when I'm meeting principals who only have 7 or 8 years of experience in that seat, and they're saying, I'm ready for something else. Not a different school, a different job or a different career. That, in Manatee County, will be our greatest risk. And so we have to find a way as a community to message those 55 principals, there really aren't that many of them, and to say, we support you, we support your leadership, thank you for what you do, and how can we help you? Because if every time, and schools are small cities, every one of them, and if every time something goes wrong, we say, time to change the principal, again, we're never going to get that academic achievement that we all want to see. So I just want to plant that seed with all of you as business and community leaders about what can we do to make sure that principals have very long careers here in Manatee County. Finally, we certainly want to work on the graduation rate, and we want to work on what that diploma means. So when we hand a diploma out, it should mean more than how many credits did you earn and what were your scores on the state assessment. The diploma should mean that a student has developed the skills that they need for whatever their next step is, whether it's going to Manatee Technical for a career certificate, whether it means going off to the University of South Florida to pursue a 4-year degree and on to graduate school, wherever, whether it's state college, wherever they're heading next, they have the skills they need to be successful, and they know what they're doing. They have that plan, right? So we have to get past the point where we just worry about how many credits and what are the test scores. It's what are the skills that are needed based on the student and parents' plan, for their future. And again, that's another area where, as business leaders, you can help, because the more internships, job shadowing, and mentorships we can do with kids, the more clearly those pathways get identified. Jackie, am I needing to wrap up? Okay. Sorry, going along. So I want to get, just to stay on that last point of how you all can help. Here's some data coming out of our community engagement and communications department. As you can see, and we all know the pandemic impacted in a lot of different ways, but as you can see, business partnerships overall, these are officially documented business partnerships, have declined and really not come back to pre-pandemic levels. And then total partnerships, that's the number of unique programs that each business partner engages in, is also down pretty significantly. And so the message is, all of that is over. Our schools are open. We need your help. And whether it's coming in and reading to students in an elementary school, we have some great programs out there where folks are reading to kids one-on-one, and we're seeing learning growth there, or whether it's writing a check for a program because you don't have the labor, but you're willing to invest the dollars. Any of those engagements help. And again, I have been blown away by the community partnerships that are in place around the county. But business partnerships is an area where the data tells us we've lagged a little bit and we have an opportunity now to catch up. So right on our website, we have a partners page, and you can take a look at the opportunities there. And Kevin Chapman and Mike Barber are here, and you can always connect with them. I've been very fortunate to have their support during the transition, and then they're great connectors of people for all of these initiatives. But this is something we can work on together as you sit back and think, how can I help? We have an option for every business, regardless of size or scope or time available. We can find the right opportunity for you to partner with us. So, Jackie, thanks for the time today, and again, appreciate all the outreach and welcomes from all of you. Thank you.
Fielding a couple of questions. So Kim has a microphone and she'll be walking around. We have just a few minutes. If we have some questions from chamber members, we would love to have that engagement. Kim, looks like here on the far side as well.
Superintendent Mike Meehan, Manatee County citizen. Getting a little more granular on the concept of grade level achievement in reading and mathematics. Where is Manatee County School District right now, percent of student population that is functioning at grade level? Where would you like to see it be at the end of the 9-month school term? And if you would care to just delineate perhaps an example of one program that might help you get there.
Sure, great question, and thank you. We're at an unusual time in the standards and assessment transition. This started back in 2019. The governor, right after he came into office, did an executive order calling for a comprehensive review of standards and assessments in Florida, and this multi-year timeline was laid out. And the Department of Education has maintained the timeline, which is unusual because often in education things get delayed. But even through the pandemic and all the other things that Florida has been through, the timeline they gave us as educators, as leaders, has pretty much been followed. So last year was the first year of the new FAST test, Florida Assessment of Student Thinking. We have that data in. We have the numbers. The problem is the numbers link back to the assessment scales from the prior year's test. So even the data we have right now for last year's students doesn't give us a full picture of where we're at. The state is going through the what we call the standard setting process, which is fairly technical, but by December, we will have the new ranges for last year's data, and the state will then recalculate school grades for last year, which is a proficiency-only year. So schools don't get credit for growth, they just get credit for the percentage of students scoring at proficiency. And the way I've explained this to folks is it's like playing an entire 9-inning baseball game, and then after the game they reveal where the foul lines were and you find out what was a home run and what was not. That's kind of the situation we're in right now. So it's hard to answer your question, Mr. Meehan, because we don't have the full picture yet. The question really will be when we get data next June. That data will be matched to the 22-23 data, and for the first time, we'll know what our learning growth, what each student's improvement was year to year. That's really when we're going to know how much progress has been made, how much pandemic recovery has taken place. You can do other comparisons with the data, but they all have kind of methodology issues. So really what we're doing right now is we're looking at the data that we have, we're identifying schools where we're concerned that we're not seeing growth, and then we're starting our instructional visits with those schools and going through and seeing whether there are materials that need to be updated, whether teachers need additional training, whether our leaders need additional training and support. So we're really this first 3 months kind of in a little bit of a where are we at mode. So it's difficult to say. I think the key piece is continuing to get our teachers trained on the science of reading, which is the evidence-based practices that lead to learning growth. And the challenge is that with all of the teacher attrition, we're always kind of catching up on that. And so it's kind of a complex process, but certainly once we have the clear picture of what all the assessment rules are, we still want to see some nice growth this next year. But again, the significant jump in gains may be a few years away if we're going to do the deep work of really trying to move our level 1 readers up to level 3, as opposed to just working with kids who are currently at a high 2 to kind of push them over the bar. That's what you do if you want like quick gains, but it doesn't lead to that kind of long-term system improvement work that I want to try to get done here in Manatee.
Dr. Wysong, thanks for your comments. And obviously you have a team approach to what you want to get done. And across our nation, there's so much animosity between parents, school boards. I mean, it's scattered all around. And I just wondered if you had any observations. How do we safeguard that we stay on a positive track of cooperation between parents, school board, et cetera?
Sure. Well, and of course, Florida's been a laboratory for education innovation really for the last 2 decades. And, I think the key now is that because of not just HB1 that just passed this last session, but really the work the last 10 years, parents have more choices than ever. And so as educators, most people like me who are running school districts, we're classroom teachers, and we've just been retrained and repurposed for leadership work. We're going to have to do more with strategic communication and marketing, right? Because we're competing with everybody else. And we're going to have to be more transparent and more responsive to parent concerns than I think public education could be or wasn't 25 years ago, if that makes sense. So in other words, we have to be more feedback receptive, and we generally, I think we in public education have to find ways to say yes more often, instead of saying no because of this. Well, why is the rule here? Is it because it's how we've always done things? Or is it because it's tied to a state law that isn't working, in which case we have to go to our board and say, please engage with our legislative delegation and let's get some of these things addressed. So that's kind of on the structural end. My hope is that that when parents have concerns, that they start with the classroom teacher, and if they don't get the answer that they think is what they should be hearing, that then they go to the principal, and then they kind of work up from there, because the folks who are closest to the action are always going to provide the most detailed, the most nuanced answers. Frankly, sending, although I'll answer every parent email that comes, telling me about a very specific issue that happened one day, it's good for me to know. What I really need is, I need the principal's supervisor to know that, because they're going to know, have we heard from 10 parents who have the same problem? Right, and we need to do some things different with that leadership team, or is this just a kind of a one-off outlier? So I think it's that good way, that good two-way communication, but it's also that at the end of the day, we are following the law. Our teachers know that. If somebody isn't following the law, we'll address that through personnel and HR, just like all of you do in your businesses, and then at some point, we have to trust our teachers and their administrators to teach the standards.
Thank you for being here, Dr. Wysong. I really appreciate it. I'm Misty Serbia, and I'd like to ask you about the state challenges that have been imposed on our local districts, but I don't think we have time for that. So instead, I'm going to ask you about the extreme heat that we are experiencing this year, and how are you addressing it through policy changes for our student athletes and our young kids?
Yeah, yeah, great question. I've been in town a few weeks, and I keep asking people, is it always like this? And people keep assuring me, no, this is a weird year. And again, it certainly is warm. I think at the grassroots level, I think our principals have been reminding parents about, water bottles and hydration. Our coaches are certainly aware because they're out there too. And so it's really about, kind of common sense, not pushing too hard. And we'll see whether this is, the start of a new trend or just an anomaly this summer. We can have the other conversation sometime too, about mandates.
Last question.
Yeah.
Yes, Dr. Wysong, I want to congratulate you on your new position. I know in Seminole you did great things. My name is Eileen Toper. I've been an educator all my life. I'm still in the schools. I'm an advocate for public school education. I've been a businesswoman too. A few things I want to mention. You mentioned that many teachers, new teachers and veterans were hired for this school session, but they're from within Florida. I do know that teacher salary in Florida is on the bottom rung compared to other states. So what can be done so you can recruit excellent teachers and a variety of people from other states with their good salary benefits? I've been in states, and lived in many states, where you get coursework is paid for. Secondly is this. All right, I won't get into the standards for African American studies or AP psychology or sensory literature, but generally, what's your feeling about that? And lastly, there's such a stress on science and math, but over time, from K through college, I have found out to have a good rounded adult, you need to stress the science and math area, but you need the humanities as well. So what is your feeling about what will you do to help Manatee County schools in including humanities for a well-balanced student?
All great questions, and I know we're out of time. I'll chat with you about a couple of those pieces. I will say, I think at the state level, there are efforts to reduce some of the bureaucracy and red tape around teacher certification so that we can more quickly welcome new teachers who are either changing from other industries or coming in from out of state. And so I think it has gotten easier than maybe 12 months ago to get different folks into the system. There are some other pieces there, but we are getting teachers in from out of state. They're moving to Florida for a variety of reasons, and certainly we welcome them. And then I'll just, to your last point, I agree with you, and I think balancing kind of your traditional academics with your arts and your athletics, right? A truly remarkable school district is going to balance all three of those areas. And so, STEM tends to be a little more resource intensive, and I think that's why we've seen some additional funding and grants in those areas. But you're absolutely right that we've got to address the humanities as well, the arts elements. I think our board has done a good job of balancing those investments, and I know it's something that we continue to talk about, making sure that the arts isn't getting lost as we welcome new STEM initiatives in. So thank you.
Dr. Wysong, on behalf of the entire chamber membership, thank you for your graciousness and your generosity, again, on the 5th day of school, 44 days into your tenure. And to the district board as well, thank you all for your support and partnership. We couldn't do that without you. So a couple of closing announcements as we look to the next couple of months. First, thank you once again to our headliner sponsors. You'll see their names and logos up on the screen. Thanks to Manatee Educational Television, to Charles and Chris and the team. They have said that possibly as early as this evening, this broadcast will be available. So anybody that wasn't here, or if you want to revisit any of Dr. Wysong's remarks, you'll be able to do that on METV's YouTube channel. And then finally, a couple of upcoming events that may be of interest to you. Our next Chamber Coffee Club, our morning networking opportunity, will be on August 24th, hosted by the Tidewell Foundation at their Family Grief Center. And then our next Headliners Luncheon, this exact same thing, next month. We will be featuring Career Source Suncoast, President and CEO Joshua Matlock, who is here with us with several other members of the team, will be talking with us about employee recruitment and retention, a theme we're hearing at every topic we talk about when we talk about what's important to organizations and businesses and success. And then not up on the screen, but our October headliners will feature Seaport Manatee and the International Trade Hub. So a couple of things to pique your interest going forward. So thank you all so much for your attendance. We appreciate it. Have a great afternoon, and we'll see you at the next Chamber opportunity.
Thank you.